Hey friends, it's me, Micah. This is the Homestead Bandwagon. Today I'm going to talk about six, not five, six misconceptions, misunderstandings, maybe even mistruths you've heard about zero-turn mowers, and we're going to dispel them. I'm an outdoor power equipment dealer. I sell things like mowers, chainsaws, weed whackers, tractors, all sorts of stuff. And I've heard a lot of things about zero-turn mowers that just aren't accurate. Let's just get right into it. Here we go. Number one, zero-turn mowers are difficult to operate. I find this to be completely untrue. I find that to be completely untrue. I've had a lot of people come into the store and say, I don't want to do a zero-turn. They're too hard to use. And they've never used one. You know, if you sit on one of these for about 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and just go out and operate it with an open mind, you're going to find they are very easy to use. You move forward, you move backwards. This isn't an instructional video, although an instructional video is coming soon if you want to subscribe. But I'm just here to tell you, they're not hard to use. It's probably harder to use your hands and feet to operate something at the same time. Really, it's using more of your brain. And that's what a regular rider does, right? Your hands and feet. If you've ever driven on a Sunday or on a holiday, for some reason, there's always a lot of people out there, probably shouldn't be driving still. Maybe you've noticed that. I would be feeling a lot better if our machines were so easy to stop that you just pull back and say, whoa, Nelly, let's stop, than having to figure out which foot goes where. I think that in reality, a zero turn is much easier to operate than a regular riding mower. It's just we're not used to seeing them. So once you see them and use them, you'll find they're really simple and easy to use. Number two, zero-turn mowers perform poorly on hills. I find this to be kind of accurate in some cases. Zero-turn mowers, generally, there are some zero-turn mowers out there with steering wheels, but zero-turn mowers generally rely on the rear wheels to both keep your momentum going and help you steer. So the front end's just kind of along for the ride. So you can get in situations where that front end just decides to follow gravity downhill if you're doing a side slope. But I'll say that mowers in general just aren't super safe on hills. They're not really made for hills. They'll have warnings all over them telling you to avoid doing hills over a certain steepness. So overall, being on a hill with the zero turn isn't any worse than being on a hill with a regular mower, especially once you get to know how to use them. If we can go straight up and down hills, a zero turn's fantastic. In fact, they have a lower center of gravity and they tend to be a little wider and maybe even a little longer than a normal rider. So for that reason, they may be more stable on hills. Plus, if you get into a funny situation where maybe one of your wheels is losing touch with the ground, it's really easy to recover with a zero turn because you're not limited by your range of movement. So for me, I have no problem on hills with my zero turn. We have hills all over the place. I've learned how to mow hillsides with the zero turn, and I've seen some crazy stuff with zero turns on hillsides that I would never do with a riding mower because the center of gravity is so high you can just flip on them. So I wouldn't say they're worse on hills. You just got to learn how to control them. Now, if you want to get really fancy, the best mower on a hill is actually a zero-turn mower. Cub Cadet makes a zero-turn mower with a steering wheel. So it's kind of a hybrid between a tractor-style mower and a zero-turn, but they do great on hills, and they are a zero-turn. Number three, zero-turn mowers are uncomfortable. I don't even know where this comes from. I heard somebody say it one time, and I thought it was a one-off, and I've heard it again and again and again. It's really weird to me, because this thing's pretty comfortable to sit on. You can stretch your legs out, you can cross your legs. I mean, there's so much room here. You're not, set in a little operator station where you can't move your legs and you're all bound up. I don't understand how anybody would think that this machine's less comfortable than a riding mower, for goodness sake. I mean, this thing's like a Cadillac in comparison with just all the room you have. Now, there may be something about maybe the lap bars on these, being uncomfortably positioned, but that can be fixed. You can get different sized lap bars, and I'd say more often than not, if the lap bars are uncomfortable for you where they're positioned, you're going to have a hard time fitting on a riding mower. So It's just such a weird thing I've been hearing and I don't get it. I mean, for goodness sake, a lot of zero-turn mowers have a suspension seat like this one does. That's pretty comfortable. You don't see that on regular riding mowers. Who even came up with this list? Number 4, zero-turn mowers are more expensive than regular riding mowers. Now, that's not entirely untrue. You'll find regular riders out there for pretty cheap in comparison to a zero-turn, but if we're really thinking about the total cost of ownership, a zero-turn mower will save you money. That's because zero-turns tend to be made of higher quality materials. They have 2 transmissions instead of 1. Now, when we consider that, and we consider that a zero-turn mower will mow your grass 30, 40, or 50% faster than a regular rider, you're putting less wear and tear on your engine, less time on it, right? And less wear and tear on the transmissions, plus you have double the transmissions. So as long as you buy a mower with a decent deck under it, that's not going to rot out, and you have 2 transmissions instead of 1, and usually get a better quality engine on a zero-turn, you are spending more money initially, but you're saving way more money over time with less downtime, less replacement, because I'm here to tell you a zero-turn will sometimes last twice as long as a regular rider. But also, how much is your time worth? I mean, for us mowing out here, if we were using a regular rider, it would take us 6 or 8 hours. I can mow in 3 or 4 hours with this thing and get everything done. That's a huge time savings. What's your time worth? Would you rather be mowing the lawn than playing with your kids or hanging out with your husband? I doubt it. Maybe you want to go play fetch with the dog. You're getting your life back, for goodness sake, and that's got to be worth something. Number 5, zero-turn mowers get stuck in the mud really easy. Again, I find this to be basically just false. I think a lot of people who buy zero-turn mowers are mowing bigger, rougher areas, more difficult terrain, so you're just more apt to get stuck. But I've gotten plenty of regular old steering wheel style mowers stuck, just as bad as I've ever gotten a zero-turn mower stuck. The nice thing about a zero-turn is you have control over both rear wheels independently, whereas a steering wheel style mower, you just have control over your front end. So you can saw the wheel back and forth and try to gain traction, but once you have one wheel spinning on a standard mower, you're stuck. That wheel's just going to spin. You can't gain traction with the other spin because generally they have an open center differential on the rear end. Whereas a zero-turn mower, you always have control over both tires. So you can kind of saw those controls and get unstuck. Or if you're thinking, once you get into a bad situation, just back out the way you came in. So in my experience, it's a bunch of horse pucky saying that a zero-turn mower gets stuck easier than a regular rider mower. They just don't. Also, they tend to be a tiny bit heavier, tiny bit lower to the ground. And the center of gravity is right over top of the rear wheels, which gives you more traction anyway. So, yeah. Number 6, look, Ma, no hands. Oh. Zero-turn mowers don't cut or mulch or bag as well as a riding mower. This is another really weird one to me. If you look at any municipality or landscape service or whatever, they're probably using a zero-turn mower. Really well-cut lawns or grassy areas use a zero-turn mower because they're so efficient, first of all, but they do a great job of cutting. And the mower decks that zero-turns use are usually higher quality than the mower decks you'll see on a regular mower. In addition, if you're mulching, many times, like on this bad boy mower, the options for a true mulching package that encapsulates each blade so that they can cut all that grass into fine material and put it back into your lawn as fertilizer. Those options exist, whereas on a lot of riding mowers, you don't have that choice. You got mulching blades and a plug that plugs into the deck. They don't really mulch that well in comparison. Now, not all zero-turns have that option, but these do. And as far as bagging goes, baggers work just as poorly on one machine as another, in my opinion. Out where we're out in the Pacific Northwest, bagging stinks. There are vacuum baggers. If you've got some dough, you can spend some money on vacuum baggers that are pretty good, and they do a great job of bagging. I mean, if you look at a grasshopper mower with their bagging system, it's incredible. And these are zero-turn mowers using these high-quality bagging systems. And then as far as the cut quality goes, I can kind of understand where people are coming from, because in many cases, a zero-turn mower will have a larger deck than just a standard lawnmower, because people, you know, have big areas that they're mowing with zero turns. They want that efficiency gain that the zero turn gets you. So they do sacrifice some cut quality by having a bigger deck that can kind of trundle along and maybe scalp. But you could always buy a zero turn mower with a smaller deck. Our zero turn, for example, has a 48-inch deck. That's pretty small. It gives a pretty nice cut. And then making sure that you have sharp blades and a level deck help with your cut as well. If you want to do stripes, striping kits are readily available for zero turns. So I could see where somebody comparing a mower with a real small deck that does a really nice, tight, clean cut that's on a regular riding mower compared to a zero turn that maybe has a 60-inch deck, the cut quality would look different. But in reality, the zero turn is going to cut the same quality as anything else. And that's why you see the big landscape companies, and again, universities, municipalities, you know, cities, and just frankly, picky lawn owners using them. If you're a professional lawn mowist and you disagree with something I said here, fine, leave it in the comments. If you're a professional lawn mowist and agree with something I said, leave that in the comments for sure. And if you know nothing about mowers and just want to tell me something, put that in the comments too. That's fine. Leave me something in the comments. I don't care. Be as wacky as you want.